Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for our February call. Hard to believe it's February already. Welcome to our returning members and our new members. We're so grateful that you took a little time to spend with us this morning rather, not quite afternoon yet. So for those of you in northern climates, 6 more weeks of winter per the groundhog. And let's hope it's not a day longer. But welcome everyone. Wonderful to see you all. Alongside Rebecca, as always. Unfortunately, Dawn won't be with us today, but we're going to have a really good, I think, discussion, just kind of a roundtable discussion on training and sort of the best practices, for training and thinking about implementing training and executing training and then planning for training. So we welcome your thoughts. Feel free to jump in whenever you'd like, or feel free to put questions or comments in the chat, and we can we'll catch those as they come along. But yeah, so without further ado, we will get into training and sort of the best practices or what you're doing in your organizations for training as well. So I put a list of sort of suggested discussion topics in the forum post. We're certainly not limited to those. So if you've got other things that you would like to discuss, feel free to bring them up. We always have a great bunch of members and we always have a great discussion. So we look forward to that. So without further ado, we'll get into the first topic. And this was training was something that when we surveyed everybody back last April, if you can believe it or not, it was one of those that was pretty popular. So I'm glad that we're finally getting around to it. But I think what we'll do is we'll kick off the discussion with, corporate, which would be anything generated or I think created by your greater organization, and legal department created training, and then third-party training to see how you're managing that. And I can tell you at Walgreens, we get a lot of training from our corporate training group. Some of it is actually created. Some of it is just sort of rebadged third-party training. And it's on the typical topics. But we also, in our legal department, we have a technology committee. And within that technology committee, we have a training subcommittee that plans training for things like Teams and OneNote. And we did something on Litera, which is a data scrubber / document comparison tool. So we do create a little bit of training within the legal department. And then it's members of the training subcommittee that actually create that content and present that content. And I was just I'd like to throw it out to everybody to see if you're doing something similar or if you're doing something differently that we'd love to hear about. So I'll put it out to everybody and please let me know your thoughts.
So I'll go first.
Lisa.
Our internal IT department has it's a user group on Teams, and they're called well, I don't know the exact name, but it's they're champions, and they have training, and they schedule training and keep the recordings on a SharePoint page so that anybody can go and do it. And it's all on the whole Microsoft Office suite and everything. And so we don't do it in the legal ops group. We just give everybody the information that they can attend this and do that.
Okay. And Lisa, do you find that champions approach helps? I mean, sort of push out the message and sort of gain acceptance among the larger legal department?
It really does, because you can join and then you're considered a champion. And so within the legal department, you are recognized as an SME for this particular thing. So for example, I have 2 SMEs from the legal department that know Microsoft Forms really well. So they are going to be doing a lunch and learn on Microsoft Forms for me in a couple weeks. And they put together the whole presentation, and then I invite the whole legal organization, and it's during the lunch hour, and whoever wants to join, and it's all virtual. All of our training is virtual.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's great. Do we have any other thoughts?
Sure. When I was at Deloitte, we had a firm-wide learning champion program, and I was assigned for my group to be their learning champion at one point. And what we would do is put together on a yearly basis a curriculum that we thought would be good for our group. And the way I approached it was surveying, at least in part. That's how I decided what the curriculum would be. I would survey the group, see what they were interested in, see what they felt they needed more training on, and then go out and find courses. Whether it was, stuff we already had, whether it was PLI courses, anything of that nature. Then I put together the curriculum and announce it to the team, and we go from there.
Ron, it sounds like you have a little bit of experience with some of that third-party training. How's that working for you? Do you find that to be helpful? Do you have to tweak it a little bit? Is it sort of ready to go? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, for the law department right now, we have a corporate PLI membership, and all of our attorneys are eligible for CLE, but it's open for all employees of the law department. So there's nothing at this time where anything is recommended. That might be down the road, but it's you get access as soon as you're hired. And we encourage that as much as possible. Whenever anybody asks for CLE, we say, well, have you checked PLI? And it saves a ton of money by having that corporate PLI membership, rather than doing one-off CLE types of symposiums or seminars or that kind of thing. We still allow people to inquire about those one-offs, and if it seems worthwhile, they get approved for it. But we really encourage the use of PLI, and we track that as a savings for the department every year. We also have for the entire company Percipio courses. I haven't looked too much at them, but that's available for everyone as well. And what I think we're going to be doing in the future, probably rolling it out this year, is establishing a sub page on our SharePoint site where people can recommend courses that they've taken in PLI or anywhere for that matter. Any type of learning events that they thought was worthwhile, anything that they thought was not worthwhile, they could post in that SharePoint site.
Great, thank you, Ron. We do much the same at Walgreens. We use Lexis University for our online CLE, so we have a subscription to that. Our attorneys all have licenses and can take full advantage of that. And then what we try to do as we get closer, in Illinois, the attorneys all recertify at the end of June. So we're coming up into sort of our CLE season, where we'll start with CLE programs from our law firm partners, maybe once or twice a month, where we'll grab an hour, usually on a Friday, just because it works best for everybody, and have presentations and topics, and I think credit requirements that they need, and we try to help them as well as that. But thank you for sharing that, Ron. Great stuff. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll say go through our university side, since we're an academic institution, which is based on all learning and training. We have several ways we do training. We have what you would call corporate training, or however you guys want to call it. But we call it the training department, where we have individuals that come in. Our orientation is based on that stuff. Just regular interviewing training, HR resources, financial resources. We have our financial department that gives training on software that we have and things like that. But the interesting thing is our training is exactly how you take classes online at UCF. It's through a web course. So they offer it through the web course software, and you're going in there exactly if you're taking a class, like a student class, which is interesting. But one of the things we do a lot within internally. So we have all this external training classes among classes I've taken, and I've been there 20 years. So in my 20 years of being there, I've taken more than 100 classes of whatever you can think of within UCF, which is pretty, and it's a blessing to have that actually. We also have LinkedIn Learning, which we're connected to, that we can do all kinds of training there or anything that we're interested in. They have a contract with the university too, which we can do for free too. But we have internal training, just like yesterday. Yesterday, one of our attorneys did an internal training with the other attorney on software licenses. So within our office, we do internal trainings. Not only that, I do internal trainings with my administrative group also on any issues we might be having, whether it be a tech issue, whether it be, we have public records stuff that we do within the office. So within our office, one of the things we've done for many years has been cross-training of employees, administrative, just as well as attorneys. And we take time for that. Another training that we do is we have the contract database. And within the contract database, what we produce were YouTube videos. And these YouTube videos are within our contract database that provide training on how to use the system. The most type of mistakes people do, we have videos on how those issues can be resolved. The good part about that type of training has been that if any individual calls with questions or things like that, or emails that come in with questions of what's going on within the software, the data software. The good thing about the YouTube videos is that we can stick the link in the email and we send the response to the problem that they're having along with the clip of the YouTube video so that our client, which is the university itself, has it right there for them to look at. And we made sure that those YouTube videos were not very long because we know that people's, focus are short. So the longest is the first one, which is how to enter a contract and all that stuff. That one's 8 minutes long, but the rest of the training, we made sure we focused it within 2 or 3 minutes. So those are different ways we train within the university.
I think the YouTube component there, Rebecca, is really fascinating. Did you have to enter into any sort of special arrangement with YouTube?
No.
You just shoot the videos and post them?
Our IT department, we have a software with our IT department.
Okay.
And my contracts my contracts employee, who manages the database, she, with the software, we were able to do the YouTube videos. And the YouTube videos, we have the contract database, and, she's able to talk and show them exactly the steps that need to be taken in order, to resolve the issues that they may be having. Mm-hmm.
Great. So. And Rebecca, at UCF, does the legal department do or create any of their own training as well? Or is it more just IT focused?
Oh, no, we also do. We do what we call university-wide workshops. And on those university-wide workshops, we train on contracts, what constituted contracts, different clauses of the contracts. What did they mean? All of that stuff. So we do at least 2 to 3 university-wide on contracts in itself. We also do 2 to 3 university-wide trainings on the contract database itself too. Any changes that might come up. Not only do we train that way university-wide, we also do departmental trainings. So we train different departments. We'll get requests from, the philosophy department or something like this. We personally, well, before COVID, we would personally go to the department and do training, whether it be on contracts, public records, subpoenas, anything like that. We would go and do personal trainings. Right now, they're more virtual. Not only that, my contracts employee, she does one-on-one trainings also. So for individuals who need one-on-one training, like she's done vice presidents, new vice presidents that have come in, deans that have come in, a lot of new employees who are more higher level. She also offers the one-on-one training, and also anybody who requests the one-on-one training, we do that too. So we have an extensive amount of training of a lot of things at UCF.
That is
So.
wonderful. You have all the resources you need, it sounds like, which is nothing short of
We're
wonderful.
academics, so.
Exactly.
If we didn't have it, I would be worried.
How true.
So.
Well, thank you so much, Rebecca. Anyone else want to jump in with training best practices at your organizations?
Hi, Chris. This is Daryl Uffelman. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you. Hi, Daryl.
Great. Hi. I'm at Anheuser-Busch, and we have a combined legal and corporate affairs department. And a few years back, when we were thinking about training of the employees in the department, what was happening was really kind of scattershot, where attorneys were finding CLE wherever they could. And if we would invite law firms in to provide the training or over Zoom do the training, the corporate affairs people were not as interested in some of the more legal topics that the lawyers needed. And so what we've done is we've transformed our process to make it more of a driver for the transformation of our business and within the department for everybody. And we created we call it the Legal and Corporate Affairs Academy. It has a steering committee from different sections of the department. And we had 3 different categories of trainings that we did last year in 3 different pillars. They were leadership, functional, and fundamental. And it's really a mix of law firms doing traditional COE training, other departments training us on what they do, whether it be our marketing department or our deal or M&A people, or somebody in one of our breweries training us on how the brewery operates, and just different things in the leadership, functional, and fundamental categories. And we had a lot of success in getting out 13 sessions last year with 28 presenters, 540 attendees, if you count up everyone who attended all the sessions. And what we're trying to do is drive the way that we operate and the way our department's transforming by focusing this year on self, the business, and then some function specific things to the legal department. And we do that by getting input from the surveys we do within the department, but also from the leadership of the department, and kind of set an agenda of the different topics that we're going to cover. And so we're sourcing speakers from within the department, law firms, third parties, and the ones that are most popular are really the other parts of the business who are coming in and engaging with us about what they do and how we can support them better. And so we have a lot of other resources available through LinkedIn Learning and other third-party services. But what we're finding was those things weren't hitting what people really wanted, and what we think, or the leadership thinks, people really need. And so we're tailoring the sessions to what people really need to move forward, because everybody only has so much time in the day. And so we're trying to make sure that they're really impactful sessions that are really going to help us drive the business forward. And if we're introducing some type of new technology or something, we'll incorporate that into it. So when you show up, you might be learning about the business, you might be learning about something that helped you as a professional, or it might be something that you'll be learning more of specific to the legal department. But they're all tailored to kind of transform us and move us forward in what we're doing as a business and connecting with our commercial strategy. So I'll leave it at that.
No, and Daryl, it sounds like a great approach. How's it been received? It sounds like it should be well received. So,
yeah, the attendance is really good at the sessions, and we have a feedback structure with a survey. Everybody hates surveys. It seems like you get a survey for everything you do now these days, especially if you're in a large company. Everybody hates those, so we've made it as easy as we can for people. And what we really get positive feedback on is connecting it to what everybody does on a day-to-day basis and being real intentional, understanding that, I'm a labor lawyer, and some of the stuff that we talk about, it's hard for me to envision when I see the name of the presentation, how it's going to connect with me. Same with somebody who does, maybe our Better World or social initiatives in the corporate affairs side. And so we really try and advertise and connect the things and make sure the speakers are connecting so everyone can see how they're connected to that topic and how they can contribute in moving the business forward in that area.
that's great. And I'm sure that's what drives a great attendance. It's the people that you're focusing on, making that connection. And really sort of what's in it for me and how can this help me be better? So that's a fantastic approach.
Yeah, and prizes from, like, if we have one of our craft breweries present to us, have them offering some of their swag always helps as well.
I can imagine. I imagine. Yeah, we use food at Walgreens. So when we were doing in person, of course, not easy to do with the virtual presentations. But thank you, Daryl. It's great. We do have a question in the chat, and it came from Robert Royston. The question is, at what point do you all who do training facing inward to in-house lawyers formalize the process? So great question. What have you done to sort of document and formalize rather that the training process? Robert, did I represent that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, any thoughts?
Are you talking about to get MCLE credit? Because I know there's a formal process relating to that, like minimum timing requirements and depending on state and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm not really talking about that, the formalization of how to get MCLE, but like if you had, 2 lawyers, 3 lawyers, 4 lawyers, at what point did you see enough diversity in the legal need to create a formalized type process? Like Daryl was talking about, there's business structures that they were doing, and some of the others talked about the same kind of thing. I'm not really as much talking about CLE.
Any thoughts on that? In your organizations, how you formalize that process? Do you formalize that process?
I think the word that's hitting me here is to formalize, because for me, we've always done the training, so it's not really like formal that we say we just do it. It's not, I think Daryl sounds more formalized than ours, but we like in our contract process, the training that we do university wide may be more formal, that we do it as part as an assessment process also within the university, where we get feedback and everything. But internally, it's just been something that we've always just done, as part of our group. So, and we also do something like what Daryl said. We also bring in individuals from other departments to train us and what they do within the university. So we have several of those a year. Because for us, we see ourselves as a service, we see ourselves as a service to the university. So we need to understand what's going on their side so that we're able to better to serve them on what we need to do on our side. So that stuff we do, but formalize, you know, not that we have, you know, spreadsheets or stuff like that. Now, what is formal in the training at the university is how the courses are actually presented through the web courses, and how some of the departments, like the compliance department, present some of their courses. All of that is formalized, but not the internal, you know, office. So.
Thanks, Rebecca. Any other thoughts on that from the group? No?
Sorry, I will jump in, Chris.
Hey, Heather
This is-
McLeod.
Hi.
Hello.
As Rebecca was talking about other departments coming in, we use our all hands department meeting to have other departments come in and tell us, you know, what they do, merchandising and store ops and the parts of the business we support. We use the department meeting for that opportunity. For what operations pushed out, I just set up a series and send out meeting invites and say, this is the topic of the month. We're talking about this software or this process. It would have been great had I kept stats on attendance. That would have been fantastic at year end, but I didn't think about it to keep track of how many people showed up. But I just picked topics based on the need. I think I sent out a survey at one point and said, what would you like training on? But then I also just kept track of where we had the most failures or problems. And I picked those systems or processes to address the issues. It wasn't any more formal than my boss said, go fix the problem. That was as formal as it got. But people showed up. I mean, I sent out invitations and people showed up and I think it helps.
Great. Thank you for sharing, Heather. That's we end up doing that a lot of that at Walgreens as well, you know, where we send out the invitation, whoever attends. If we think about it enough in advance, we record it. Sometimes we don't. But it seems as if since we've all sort of been spread out for almost 2 years at this point, people have really seized the opportunity to join some of these training sessions. I think just to engage with their colleagues and, you know, I have a little bit of sense of togetherness. So I think being virtual has helped us with a little bit of our training just because we seem to get a little bit more attendance. So
I will agree on the attendance and also on your recording comment. I have recorded all of them and I post the links on our department SharePoint so people can watch them on demand. And when I get a new attorney or a new paralegal, I can say, here's the training page on the SharePoint, and most of them just go watch those videos on their own. Some of them are long, some of them are 5 minutes. So it just depends on the topic. But recording has been helpful to me because now I don't have to meet with every individual person.
I can imagine that sounds like it's a good hack for efficiency because you don't have to repeat the same training with every new hire and every onboarding session.
Yeah, and we don't have YouTube like Rebecca. Great tool. But we just use Microsoft Stream for the recording, and that has worked. That works pretty much the same, and I don't have to worry about security or posting it out on the web.
Oh, for our Robert, if you want something, how we do like our contract process, and our contract university-wide training, you can say that one is more formalized, that not only do we have our presentations, we give count of how many people attend, how many departments attend, and on a yearly basis, I have to do a complete assessment of who attended the training, how the training was done, how many people attended. With our feedback, we have a contract with Qualtrics that we send out feedback surveys, and these surveys are analyzed. And they are part of an annual assessment that I have to turn in for our office. That's part of the university. That's part of the SEC accreditation. So, and that part there, the contract process, the university-wide training in that is very formalized. And it's done by outcomes and measurements of everything that goes on within those trainings. So those are our most formalized trainings in which we have to give account as to, what, how the training went within the university and what type of feedback we are getting from our, our clients, our people. So.
Great, thank you, Rebecca. We had a couple of folks mention LinkedIn Learning, and that's something new. It's something that we've never thought of. I'm sort of ashamed to admit, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on LinkedIn Learning, just selfishly. Do you like it? Is it hard to implement? I'd love to hear your thoughts for those that are using it.
I mean, I'll speak. I mean, I've only taken a few
Ellen.
classes. I think they're really great for sort of soft skill, more like less, I don't know how to say it, like less formal in a specific informational like subject area, but like, best practices for virtual meetings, like how to ensure like you're running effective meetings, how to most effectively work your inbox. Like for me, I think those areas, LinkedIn Learning provides a ton of great content to help people, especially in this virtual environment, effectively manage their workday, not feel so dissociated from everybody else, still, lead engaging meetings, all those types of things. Whereas, for our L&D department, while they do touch upon some of those things, that's not really sort of like their core skill set. And it's very, I mean, they're just like, there's a treasure trove of different types of content there. So you can really tap into many different areas, and it's very easy to, we have SSO integration. So it's really easy to just get in and it's like search all of their stuff. I don't know anything about the cost, so I don't know how expensive it is. But I think the utilization rate for at least my company is fairly high.
Great.
I just want to add two more things because everyone's talking about sort of like the current state of their training program, and just to throw it out there, I mean, in terms of like future state, I mean, two areas that I'd like our legal department to work on for this year is one, I think Heather sort of mentioned this, is recording for efficiency's sake, like onboarding. The same person, our legal ops person does onboarding for everybody for all our different legal tools and systems and processes. I mean, it's just like doing the same thing over and over again several times a month. So I said, we should just record it. And then you can do like one-on-one more personalized training. So better use of his time. And two, we have DEIB initiatives this year. So I think once we really get rolling on that, and I feel like that's diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Once we get further along on those initiatives, and I feel like, we really have a laser focused purpose behind all that, and we have our clear messaging and themes, then I think we, try to find some training that I think will align very well along those efforts. I don't think for the legal department, like specific for the legal department. So that's something that I'd like to roll out this year as well.
Great. Well, thank you, Ellen. It's really a wonderful segue to another discussion point. What are your future plans? How are you strategizing, creating new training, bringing on new training for the department? Ellen shared some wonderful points there, but looking forward to hearing what you guys are doing for the future this year and beyond for training. Anyone?
So Chris, I'll share.
Hey.
Stacy from McDonald's Corporation. Good morning.
Good morning.
Afternoon for some of you. So we have, just kind of tagging a little bit on what Ellen said and others, our onboarding for the company is certain times a month. They get they get a full onboarding. And then for legal, we have a technological person who just kind of sits with them within the US and goes over all the systems. So very similar to what Ellen was saying, gives them kind of that, you know, overview, like high level. But this is how, where you find this. This is the, you know, our program for document management, that type of thing. However, last year we started a global onboarding program. So we're up to about 375 total in legal, including our global partners. And what we did was we started everybody who was new from a certain time frame on, we hosted a virtual onboarding, and we brought, the way it was organized, to me was not the most efficient. It was organized by someone else. And so Legal Ops is taking it over this year, but they brought on team leads from every single team that we have. So there's like 15 or 16 of them, including then we just put like the larger market, smaller market together, some of our committees, and had them go over for about 20 minutes what their team is, high level, what they do, how they fit into the organization, and what have you. So it was very informative. It was great, but it was a 2-day program pretty much, you know, because there was a lot of information, or, you know, 3/4 of each day. And people really liked it, but there wasn't a whole lot of interaction with those 20 or 30 people that were on the phone. And so we're looking to switch that up this year, and hopefully host it in March. But we're going to cut the number of minutes that they're presenting, and really just kind of hone in on the high level, right? If you delve too much in the weeds, some of these people will never ever touch our franchising department, you know, at home office, because that's just not what they do in the market, right? So we really are working on that, and then trying to be able to do some icebreakers, engaging. The problem we're encountering is over the last couple of years, and even last year, we've grown so much. We just inherited a department with 33 people alone. So my idea of engaging and having these icebreaker moments, I could be having just from June of last year until March of this year when I have it, 60 some people on the phone. And so what I think we're going to do is, it's tight for this year and people seem to like the personal touch and things. So we're going to put it together. But in the future, I think we're going to do a playbook. And so we've got a creative agency that has, you know, it's like a playbook with electronic playbook with tabs and titles and things, and then add like a video, a welcome video from our GC, so that they could click on that and kind of engage, and then have not just something you just read all the way through, but some things to engage with, an overview of the entire department, some links out to those teams so that they get to know them, and then make it some sort of mandatory training. So I'm saying all this is kind of up in the air, but this is not sustainable. I can't keep offering, 2 days out of our schedule to do this. And plus then we're going to get people who've been here a year, right? Like that's just not, it's just not, I don't think that's, again, if I've been here a year and now you're going to tell me about the department as a new person, it's not productive, right? So just working through that. That's one of our big things. Playbook will probably be in 2023, but just some thoughts.
Hey, Stacy, you raised a really good point, and something that just kind of I was interested in. You're trying to conduct training on a global stage. Are there any challenges, or what did you have to overcome by trying to go global? It has to just be huge.
It is. I'll tell you, the number one challenge is trying to figure out who was new. And I know that sounds so funny, but unfortunately, even as big as we are, the onboarding here in the United States and for home office, even if it's someone who works on a team that's based out of Chicago, but may be sitting in, let's say, Munich, is one thing. But to get to the markets and to find out when people come and when people go, the systems aren't as integrated for us. So we're relying on them to let us know when someone comes in. So we spend a week or more with emails like who's new within this last time period and that type of thing, which is, again, so we're looking at a whole overall system to be notified when people join or people leave or people transfer or what have you. So really the first hurdle is trying to just get notification of that, right? You spend a lot of time with that. And then time zones. So unfortunately our Australian relatives weren't able to join, but we can't hold some at 6:30 and then some at 8 in the morning and then some at, so we recorded it. And then, gave them and even some of our Korea friends, the opportunity to watch it at a later date. But I don't know if that's ideal either, right? Like, then again, we're catering to the US and Europe. So although that is where most of our people are, but all kinds of things. I just, in my head, it's a brain dump here. Sorry.
No. That's okay, Stacy. And it's all good things to consider that, when you start out on the journey, you may not be thinking about. So a lot of value to all of that. So thank you so much for sharing. Reggie, it looks like you have your hand up. Hi.
Yes, hi. So sorry I joined you guys late, but Stacy, thank you for sharing those ideas, because those are some fabulous ideas and might help bridge some of the gaps that we have in our onboarding process as well. I do have a couple of those things set up that are similar to what you were suggesting, because I know, HR does their onboarding, but then we do our own onboarding in the legal ops department in addition to. So as they're going through the HR, we make it very clear, this is, for your onboarding as a Arrow employee. But then in the legal operations department, we have a checklist that we go through and make sure, and we have people that sit down with them from the legal operations team to just make sure that all their technology is in place, and they have all of the accesses that they need. And then we also partner with an onboarding ambassador from their either area or has the similar role. So that person is they're gonna take the handoff, because we can't be there to train on every single thing, although we're constantly being asked to add this and this and this to our onboarding curriculum. But I do like your idea of recording as much of those things as possible. And that's kind of where we are as well, where we're recording more of those things. We're also building out an onboarding curriculum. So, and we have training videos or presentations that we do want them to go through, but now we're building that curriculum. So we can say, you need to go immerse yourself in the 1,000 classes or training materials. And then, as your role is defined and where you're actually going to be supporting all of our different businesses, then maybe you need to go look at the 2000s or the, whatever that is for your business. But I think it's a combination of all of those things to make a really good, sustainable onboarding program, because it's constantly evolving. So thank you for sharing. I thought those were some really great suggestions.
And Reggie, thank you for sharing what you guys do at Arrow. It's, I think you also have that global component, much like Stacy, where you have global operations and onboarding and just general training it seems like the degree of difficulty is so much more when you're trying to do it on a global stage.
And that's where our onboarding ambassadors really help. We leverage those relationships. So if it's something unique in APAC or EMEA, we can leverage those people to take it to the next level and get that onboarding done appropriately.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Really good stuff. Anyone else, as far as what's coming up, what you're looking at training or efficiencies to your training program in 2022? Anyone? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Okay, we have covered quite a bit. Are there any topics that we haven't covered that you would like to discuss? We'd love to hear. Okay, sounds good. There's a lot of good information in the chat box too. If you haven't been following that, some good stuff there. So if there's nothing else that we would like to discuss on training, I think what we can do, and thank you everyone for contributing, really good stuff, a lot of learnings here. Thank you for sharing, as you always do so well. I am eternally grateful for all that you do for the group. So if we've got nothing more on training, I will get into some very quick housekeeping topics here real quickly. And the first thing that we'd like to cover is, unfortunately, Exchange 2022 has been canceled. So I don't know if anyone in the group is knows about it or is aware of it. It has been canceled due to, unfortunately, the pandemic. So we won't be able to meet in person in April like I had hoped. So what we will do is we will replace that with a virtual meeting, sort of a year in review and a survey of the membership to see what you'd like to talk about for the next year. It's unfortunate. We're all kind of bummed, but it is just sort of the way that it goes. So, but we're looking forward to hopefully in Exchange 2023. So we're going to keep good thoughts that we can hopefully meet in person in 2023. So, and then more related to the interest group, Ellen, hello.
Yeah, question.
Yeah.
So would some of the content that would have been reviewed at the Exchange meeting be shifted and perhaps be presented at the annual conference come October?
That's a great question. KJ, can I defer to you and send that question your way?
Absolutely. So not at the annual meeting, but one of the things that we're planning to do is to make some of the sessions that were approved for the meeting presented virtually throughout the year. And so we'll certainly alert everyone when those opportunities arise.
Great, thank you. Okay, closer to the interest group, we have a couple of upcoming calls. Our next March call will be on March 3rd. That is going to be on a topic that is to be determined. Rebecca, Dawn, and I will get together and we will get something put together and we'll get it announced in the forum for everyone to know. And then what would have been our in-person meeting and exchange is going to happen Thursday, April 7th. And again, that'll be kind of a year in review. That'll sort of be the end of the 2022 season, if you will, 21-22 season, I guess I should say. And we'll survey everyone. We'll see what they want to talk about for the upcoming year. We are also, in that spirit, we will be looking for a co-chair. So if you have any interest, if you have any questions, if you have any sort of information that you would like to know about chairing or co-chairing an interest group, Rebecca and I and Dawn and Stacy and Kim, if you're on, you can probably answer, but please feel free to direct those questions to Rebecca and I, and we can certainly help you with that. I will be stepping aside. You're all tired of hearing me talk now. Rebecca will become the chair of the Internal Resources Group starting in May. And so we do need a co-chair. I will be lurking in the shadows and I will be around to help Rebecca and the new co-chair with whatever they need. But if you're interested in a co-chair position, please let us know. Or if you have any questions about a co-chair position, please let us know. So Rebecca, anything to add to that?
No, I'm looking forward to working. I'm looking forward to next year and I'm looking forward to
hello, working
with the new co-chair.
Hi. It's
Bro. She didn't know she didn't have it on mute.
Okay.
But I'm looking forward to next year. I'm hoping, I've enjoyed being in this group and learning from this group. I've learned a lot, especially from the different organizations, how we all do things differently, but also commonly at the same time. And seeing you guys' experiences versus my experience. So that's been an interesting thing for me throughout this year. And not only that, knowing new faces and seeing different people and, different mindsets and learning from each other. So that part has been tremendous for me. So I'm looking forward to at least having a co-chair too, who's just as involved and interested in wanting to do this and continue it just like we've continued, just like we've had this past year.
Well said. Thank you, Rebecca. So if you have any interest in the co-chair position, please reach out to Rebecca or me or KJ or Dawn. Dawn is sort of filling the chair emeritus seat and will be actually rolling out of that as we get into April and May. So as always, thank you all for taking some time to join us. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts around training. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your knowledge. And if there's nothing else, we will adjourn.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.